Now in Hyrule, you will encounter evil everywhere, from the small things like bokoblins that wander around, and your stray Kuko here and there, to something a lot bigger like a Hinox. However, throughout the years, Link has also fought a lot stronger foes, and some were even powerful enough that they could have ended up destroying a part of the world. One of those was ZANT, who used the extra power he got from Ganondorf to take over the Twilight Realm and conquer Hyrule. However, there was also another who almost brought unimaginable destruction to the world. GHIRAHIM, the demon lord who resurrected Demise. But what would happen if these two godlike beings ended up in a fight where only one could be the winner? Well, let's find out who is really the strongest. Now in this corner we have the Lord of Shadows and Twilight himself, a man who wanted it all, and so he used brute force to make all his dreams come true. He's one of the two main antagonists in Twilight Princess and the so-called King of Twilight, ruler of all the Twilight who he turned into shadow beasts. When we see him, he almost always wears a helmet that conceals his face and a long, beautiful looking robe, acting sinister, seeming cool, calm, and collective. His powers are incredible, and he can easily manipulate reality, use magic beams, balls, and more, and can teleport around the place. Clearly, he's a powerful sorcerer and minion of Ganondorf. Using these abilities, he even ended up turning his people, the Twilight, into hideous beasts set out to destroy everything in sight. Now in the other corner we have GHIRAHIM, a powerful demon that almost succeeded in his evil plan of unleashing the Demon King Demise onto the world of Hyrule. He is a feared being with only one mission in mind: hunting down Zelda, in order to use her spirit as a goddess for his plan to resurrect his master. The Demon Lord is portrayed as a flamboyant, seemingly calm, overconfident opponent, which is even seen in his attacks and overall fighting style, where he uses a combination of melee and magical attacks. But he still enjoys toying with others and making them suffer until he is satisfied. So he might seem elegant, but is still very evil. Now, what would happen if these two mighty beings clashed in an intense showdown where only one person could be the winner? Who would come out victorious? Well, in order to figure this out, we will have to look at the following points: melee combat skills, magical powers, combat strategies, and health and stamina. Now let's start with our first point: melee combat. Who's better at this? Well, when it comes to ZANT, we can clearly see that it isn't his thing. During the battle that Link has with him in Twilight Princess, you can already see that he never had any formal training in this department. Because during the final portion of that fight, ZANT wields twin blades and mainly attacks by manically flailing and slashing his swords about, often employing them in a deadly high-speed spin attack. He can also combine these sword skills with his teleportation ability, making him a very unpredictable opponent in battle. So as you can already see, he doesn't seem to have any experience with this, and basically does whatever, hoping he can win. But one gigantic advantage that he has is the fact that all his attacks and moves are so outlandish for any real sword fighter that they have no idea what's happening. Although I bet that weird surprise element won't be good enough to fool any real skilled sword fighter for long. Heck, some of the moves he does can easily be counterattacked with the right timing and attack, so it certainly wouldn't work. But what about GHIRAHIM? Does he have any particular sword attacks that could take ZANT down, or is he just an easy target in general? Well, when it comes to this, things start to become a bit unfair for ZANT, because GHIRAHIM is so incredibly talented when it comes to this that it's actually scary. Let's take the encounter Link has with him at Skyview Temple as an example. Here, GHIRAHIM absolutely dominated the fight and was able to even block attacks and disarm Link using only 2 fingers. You could easily see during this battle with the young hero that it's basically a game to him. Sure, Link was some sort of a novice at that point, but still, this is ridiculously easy for him. Even during a battle where Link is equipped with the most powerful blade imaginable, the Master Sword, GHIRAHIM can still block his strikes using his arms and other body parts. And when he finally starts using his blade, we get to see his actual skill of being able to block extremely well, strike with ruthless efficiency, and even have the ability to fire sword beams. He can also change his small cutlass into a gigantic two-hander that can break through a lot of things just using brute force. And thanks to its size, he can even block attacks with it. Heck, he is technically a sword just like Vi, so obviously he understands the ins and outs of it, making him an outstanding sword fighter. Clearly, GHIRAHIM has a lot of tricks up his sleeve that will certainly defeat ZANT without a lot of effort even. So as you can imagine, GHIRAHIM takes this point for sure. Now on to our next topic, their magical powers. Who has the better and more powerful ones? Well, first we will look at ZANT, because he has quite a lot of them. Throughout Twilight Princess, we see him use these powers quite a lot. And for the record, yes, we are using him in his Ganondorf powered state. We mostly see him turn the world into Twilight, use telekinesis by knocking things away without even doing anything, shooting shadow bolts, teleporting around the place, and what looks like creating illusions. Using all these different powers, he can create entire scenarios that benefit him a lot, and also combine his abilities with other attacks to make it all more effective. We see him use this a lot in his boss fight, which mostly ends up confusing Link, making it harder to predict his attacks and how to counter them. If he would take on GHIRAHIM, then I bet he would also have a lot of trouble predicting what his next move would be, and how to deal with it. And the fact that ZANT can also change the world around him and his foe gives him quite a big advantage. Using this, he could bring GHIRAHIM to a place where he can't fight as well. However, when it comes to offensive abilities, he doesn't have a lot of them. Sure, he can shoot shadow bolts, but that's kind of it. The only other thing he could use is his powers of telekinesis. However, we never see him use this in a fight with Link, but he can certainly use it, and this would be a great attack and even defense. So while he is limited when it comes to magical powers, he can still do enough different things to help him in a ton of different scenarios. Especially being able to create illusions and send unseen shockwaves using telekinesis will be handy during the fight with GHIRAHIM. But what kind of abilities does our Demon Lord have then? Sure, he's an absolute master with a sword, but what about this department? Well, of course he can summon his sword, but it doesn't end there, because he can also summon throwing knives that will fly at you with high speed, shoot sword beams similar to Link's skyward strike, and even alter his skin in an interesting way. So when it comes to offensive abilities, he has more of them than ZANT, some of which are way stronger than anything his foe has. For example, personally, I think both the knives and sword beams beat the shadow bolts, which are more predictable and take longer to cast. However, when it comes to GHIRAHIM, there's also one magical ability that really stands out: the armor he can apply to his skin, because he can easily block any sword attack you throw at it. This is incredibly powerful. If he uses this, then most of ZANT's attacks are basically useless, because in the game he says this. So using this, he would be able to withstand almost any, if not all of ZANT's attacks, making any move against GHIRAHIM basically useless. So using this, he would have a gigantic advantage over ZANT, because GHIRAHIM's skin is basically undefeatable to an extent. Thanks to this and the fact that he has a lot of other good magical moves and abilities, I would say he's the winner of this point. Now let's move on to the next one, combat strategies. Who of the two has a better approach in a fight? When it comes to ZANT, he doesn't really have a set way of doing things. In the battle with Link, he just does whatever really. Sure, some of the things he does when it comes to the battlefield are smart, like creating an environment that would benefit his style of fighting, but when it comes to the types of attacks and when he uses them, it can all be very random. Just look at the last part of the fight at Hyrule Castle. If I would have to name a boss with a similar style, then it would be Majora's Mask. He also didn't have a very set style, and could also totally confuse his enemy with the most odd and unexpected attacks. This can work in his favor though, because it will shock his opponent for sure. GHIRAHIM would most likely be confused and caught off guard in the first minute of the fight, because GHIRAHIM's style is a lot more traditional, which he is really good at as well. His combat skills are amazing, and using his reflexes, he can block a ton of projectiles. Personally, I would say that GHIRAHIM has the upper hand here. ZANT might throw him off in the beginning, but he's experienced and skilled enough in battle that he can easily turn it around. So as soon as the surprise element is gone, he will get absolutely destroyed by GHIRAHIM, who can beat him on almost every front. so clearly he's the winner here. Now on to our very last point, their health and stamina. Who can survive the most blows and fight the longest? Also, little side note, I have more videos like this one. They're all on the channel, so check them out afterwards. Now let's continue. When it comes to this, ZANT can certainly keep up with a lot of other bosses and even Link himself. However, he did fall in the end. While he lasted a long while, he didn't survive it. The only reason why he would later on return is because of Ganondorf. So while he is strong, he can't keep going forever. But when it comes to GHIRAHIM, he can go on for ages and ages. He fought Link so many times and never actually fell. Even in the last battle, he survived it all and only left the battlefield to become Demise's sword. So clearly, there's no end to his stamina and health. Heck, his skin is even extremely resistant against almost any type of attack, so he would certainly survive this fight. However, what would happen if you put Ganondorf and a fierce deity against each other? Who would win that battle? Well, to find out, click the upper right corner really fast. But when it comes to this battle, I will have to say that GHIRAHIM wins this with a landslide. His insane sword fighting abilities and precision in battle will beat almost anyone in a fair fight. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch more videos, be sure to click the annotations in the upper right corner and on the screen right now, and leave a lovely comment and a like, and subscribe and click the bell button. Yay!